Prince Harry did not expect to come back to the view. Not after last time. Not after the headlines, the edits, the tabloid frenzy that followed him back across the ocean. But this time was different, or so the producers promised. They said, no ambush, no cheap shots, just your work. Mental health, veterans, children, good, honest conversation. They said they owed him that much. Harry sat quietly in the green room, his hands folded, his eyes focused on a black and white photo of his mother tucked inside his notebook. He carried that picture everywhere. It reminded him what silence cost and why he would never be silent again. The stage manager gave the cue. Harry rose, smoothed his jacket, and stepped into the lights. Whoopi Goldberg greeted him with her usual warmth. She said, "We're honored to have Prince Harry back on this stage. A man who's done more for mental health than most politicians do in a lifetime." The audience applauded softly, respectfully. Prince Harry said, "Thank you, Whoopi. It's good to be here." Sarah Haynes smiled. She said, "You've had a busy year. Another Invictus Games, your work with veterans, expanding mental health clinics. Why keep pushing so hard?" Harry answered calmly. He said, "Because I know what happens when we don't. Because I know what happens when people believe they're alone." The air felt calm, thoughtful. Even Joy Behar nodded slightly, scribbling notes on her card. Sunny Hostin leaned forward. She said, "You've said healing doesn't happen alone. But sometimes it feels like you stand alone, Harry. How do you keep going?" Harry's voice softened. He said, "I remember my mother's words. I remember the faces of people who trusted me with their stories. When you carry that, you can't drop it." There was a quiet respect in the room. The audience leaned closer. But Joy Behar did not stay quiet. Joy Behar said, "Let's get real. People want to know, are you still just playing the victim? Or are you ready to own the chaos you and Meghan caused?" A small gasp rippled through the audience. Whoopi turned, eyes sharp, but Joy didn't flinch. Prince Harry held her gaze. He said, "That's what you want to know, Joy?" Joy Behar said, "It's what millions want to know. You say you stand for truth, but you keep selling your story. Some call that cashing in on pain." Harry's jaw tensed, but his voice did not rise. He said, "So speaking out about pain is profiting, but ignoring it is noble? Is that it?" Joy said, "It's convenient. You made millions from your royal title, then trashed the family that gave it to you." Sarah tried to step in. She said, "Maybe we can stay focused on mental health." But Harry cut through, his tone unshaken. He said, "My family gave me my title, but they didn't give me my scars. And when those scars became headlines, I chose to speak for everyone who can't." Joy scoffed. She said, "So you're some kind of martyr now?" Harry said, "No. I'm a man who buried his mother because people like you decided her truth was just entertainment." The audience fell completely silent. Whoopi leaned back. Sunny Hostin's pen froze mid-scratch on her notes. Joy Behar shifted in her seat, but her eyes stayed locked on him. Joy said, "So you're blaming the press for everything?" Harry said, "I'm saying we can't fix what we won't face. Silence isn't neutrality, it's complicity." The tension pulsed through the studio. No one moved. Joy said, "You think you're better than this family you criticize?" Harry said, "No. I think I'm more honest about what this family costs." Sarah Haynes whispered, "That's powerful." Joy leaned in, voice low. "So what's your message for people who think you should just shut up and be grateful?" Prince Harry looked directly at her, eyes steady. He said, "Grateful for what, Joy? Grateful for headlines that nearly killed my mother? For cameras in my children's faces? For a life where silence is the price of survival? If that's gratitude, you can keep it." A hush fell across the crowd. It wasn't rage that made the air heavy. It was the calm in Harry's voice. The certainty. Joy Behar's eyes darted to Whoopi for backup. But Whoopi just said, "We'll be right back." The lights dimmed, but the truth in the room did not. The cameras rolled back in. The applause sign lit up, but the audience stayed strangely quiet. No one clapped. Not yet. Joy Behar cleared her throat. She forced a smile. She said, "So, Prince Harry, do you think you'll ever reconcile with your family? Or is the truth too profitable now?" Prince Harry did not look away. He said, "If my truth costs me family, maybe that wasn't family to begin with." Joy Behar's grin vanished. Whoopi leaned in, her voice low. She said, "Harry, some people think there's no line for you. No limit to how far you'll go to expose the royals." Harry said, "You're wrong. The line is the one they crossed first. The day my mother died. The day my wife was driven to her knees. That's the line," Sonny Hostin said. "But isn't there a way to heal without these public clashes?" Harry turned to Sonny. He said, "Healing in private works when the harm stays private. When it's global, you heal by telling the truth out loud." Joy Behar said, "You're just going to keep talking forever?" Harry said, "I'll keep talking until they stop pretending it didn't happen. And until people like you stop pretending my silence is for sale." The audience started to stir. A few people clapped, hesitantly at first, then more followed. Sarah Haynes jumped in, her tone calm. She said, "Harry, what about your work now? What's next for you?" Harry looked at her. His expression softened. He said, "More clinics. More safe spaces for veterans. More mental health training for schools. Because I'm not just here to talk. I'm here to do." Joy Behar snapped. "So you can profit from the good press?" Harry's voice stayed quiet, almost a whisper now. He said, "Joy, if you think saving lives is about press, that says more about you than me." The tension crackled through the studio. Whoopi sat back, arms crossed, eyes locked on Joy. Joy Behar said, "People are tired of your pity party." Harry said, "They're tired of pretending trauma is a party." The words landed like a stone dropped into water, echoing out, heavy and undeniable. He looked at the camera. His eyes softened. He said, "To anyone watching this, who's ever been told to shut up about their pain, don't. Keep speaking. Because silence protects abusers, not survivors." The audience erupted, not with a wild cheer, but with that deep, heavy applause that carries weight. Joy Behar leaned away from the table, her notepad forgotten. There was nothing left to write. Whoopi said, "Harry, thank you for showing us what truth sounds like when you're not afraid to lose a headline." Harry smiled faintly. He said, "Thank you, Whoopi." He didn't storm off. He didn't shout. He stood, calm and rooted. He gave each host a nod, except Joy. He turned and walked away, his mother's photo still tucked inside his notebook. Some stories don't need revenge. They need resolve. And sometimes the loudest clapback is the one spoken softly by someone who refused to be silent. This is the Justice Stories. If you believe the truth should be spoken, especially when it costs you. If you believe courage sounds quieter than outrage. If you believe silence protects the wrong people, then subscribe. Because we're not here for headlines. We're here for the truth, told by those brave enough to say, "I will not shut up." Stay with us. There's more to hear.